Hey guys and welcome! Not long ago I made a video about why ball python make excellent first time pets, and in that one I actually talked about if you guys wanted to see one where I talk about all the bad things, all the negative stuff, and that is very unlike me, but I thought why not, let's do a challenge. So today's video is going to be me emphasizing why a ball python is not a good first time snake. Take this video with a grain of salt, it's all for fun, but it's also quite serious because when you are buying a new reptile, you cannot just look at all the positivity around it. You have to know that there can be some issues or something that might not be as good. So today's video I'm going to emphasize on the reasons why the ball python might not be the best first time snake for you. The first reason why ball pythons are not the best first-time pet is that they do have quite specific requirements, which means that the heat, the humidity, and that stuff needs to be nearly perfect for the ball python to thrive. Whereas, for example, a corn snake, you can just kind of toss it in there and it will do just fine. Oh, that was terrible said. But you know what I mean, guys. The ball pythons are they really do need their specific humidity and heat, whereas corn snakes and boas, they are more adaptable. If it's not entirely correctly, they won't mind that much. So, reason number one, they do have very specific requirements. Reason number two is that they can be very, very picky. I've talked about this before, ball pythons. I don't know why, but sometimes it's just like, no, the moon is not in the correct position for me to eat, It sometimes feels like that. They can be very picky, and I've even heard that they can be like down to whether it's mice or rats they want to eat, and then even to the color of the mice. Like this one will only eat like brown mice and this one will only eat white mice. Like I've heard that. I've never experienced this myself. And of course there is the whole only wanting to eat live, only wanting to eat dead stuff. In general, I have to say I haven't had any issues with ball pythons who only wanted to eat live. Like I had some who was used to eating live and then I had to get it over to eating dead. So it is possible. You just have to kind of like, you just have to work at it. But bottom line, they can be very, very picky when it comes to their food. When talking about food for ball python, that leads me on to reason number three, and that is of course the feeding stop. Now, ball pythons are notoriously known for suddenly not wanting to eat. They're just like, nope, that's not good enough for me, I'm not gonna eat. So when you as an owner get a ball python and suddenly stops eat for a couple of months, they can do it up until a year. That's extremely stressful, not only for you as an owner, but of course also for the snake. That said, it is very normal that they sometimes do it. Mine does it as well. Like sometimes they just won't eat for a month or two or even three, and I just keep on offering them once a week, once second week, and then when they're ready for it, they will start to eat again. But they are notoriously known for this, and that's also why I'm gonna empathize on the first one, which is that their setup needs to be correct, because if the setup is incorrect, that might be a contributor to them not wanting to eat. So reason number three, the feeding stop. Reason number four is that the ball python of course has some genetic issues, and I am not too super thrilled about that. I don't like that when the looks of the ball python is valued higher than the general health of it. And of course I'm talking about the wobble that you see in, for example, the spider morph. Now the wobble is a brain issue which causes the ball python not being able to move as it should. Like it completely messes up that part. A lot of breeders and a lot of people will say it's okay, the snake is still eating, and I'm like, yeah, it's still eating, but it doesn't look right, and I don't like what it's doing to the snake. So for me, that's definitely a no-go on the ball python, that you have actually genes that will cause the animal to not being able to proper function. Last but not least, of course, is the ball python's stress level. You might be lucky and you get a ball python that's not easily stressed, that will tolerate handling, all that kind of stuff, but in general, ball pythons are very, very easily stressed. You will see the first sign of stress is when the ball python is curling up into this ball. When you're touching it, it might actually actively trying to push you away, and sometimes if they get very, very stressed, you will see them out in the terrarium kind of like searching and searching and searching all the time. It's normal that they do it around nighttime. They're looking for for food. But if they do it around the daytime and it's like a continuous circle of them doing it all the time, then you definitely have a stressed out ball python. Luckily for you, a stressed out ball python is quite fairly easy to treat or to de-stress. It's not that difficult actually, you just need to leave them alone. That's basically it. Of course you need to make sure that the setup is correct, but basically you need to leave them alone. Reptiles do best when left alone, and handling is always just for us, it's not for the animal. So that was my last but not least, is that the ball python do tend to get very stressed very easily, whereas again I'm gonna emphasize the corn snake, they don't really get stressed at all. Like you really have to work for that in order to get them stressed. When you put all of these 5 together, of course it may seem like the ball python is not an ideal snake for you to have. Even though that this video is supposed to be, you know, like all negative, I am going to say I love my ball pythons. I will recommend them to anyone who likes them, and even beginners can get ball pythons, but you have to know that there are certain criteria that need to be dealt with when you have a ball python, and that they are in the risk of getting stressed, not eating and all that kind of stuff. It's very normal for the ball python. So if you are ready to deal with that, by all means go ahead. They're wonderful, they're perfect, I love ball pythons. If you don't fancy that, get something like a boa or a corn snake, they're also amazing, or even the California king snake. I'm really trying to sell the California king snake to you guys because it is one of my favorite snakes, but let's leave that. Alright guys, that's all for today. I really do hope you enjoyed this video. If you have any comments or questions, just post them right down in the comments section. I am also curious to know what you think is the worst thing about the ball python. Let's do one of those. Just post them right down in the comments section, but remember to be nice about it. Please give the video a like if you enjoyed it, of course. If not, then just don't. If you want to see more, you're welcome to subscribe. Sorry guys. Thank you so much for now, and bye bye.